Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for the full moon in Leo for the collective as a general collective reading. There will be a link down below in the description box for anybody who wants to go and check out your own astrology so that you could also see where the planets are in relation to your own natal chart as well. And if you know anything about the signs and the houses and the planets, you might be able to get some more information by doing that. But I am going to start the reading with some astrology, which I've written down. So I'm going to be reading from this because there's a lot of astrology and I can't remember all of it off the top of my head, unfortunately. So we start with the full moon, which is at 20 degrees in Leo. And because it's a full moon, it's opposing the sun in Aquarius, which is also at 20 degrees. And so what the moon is about, the moon is about revealing secrets. It's about things that have been kept in the dark, hidden, things that are unknown, in our subconscious and our kind of unconscious awareness. So there may be, it's also to do with emotions as well. So there may be a lot of emotions coming up that we ourselves haven't kind of recognized as being well, I haven't recognized them because they've been kept in the dark. It's things that have kind of been worked on over the last 2 weeks because it goes from the new moon to the full moon. So this is kind of the culmination of that energy there. So it could kind of be bringing it all up for us to kind of look at it and see it before we kind of release it, because that's really what the new moon's about as well. So as we go from the full moon, we move into the waning moon, which is the releasing stage as well. So we have at this moment in time, interestingly, what's known as a bucket in astrology. It's kind of the pattern that's happening with all the planets, the way that they've been formed. So you've got down below, so to speak, you've got planets from Sagittarius right the way round to Taurus, almost a complete, if it had been Scorpio it would have been a complete balance, but it isn't quite. So from Sagittarius all the way around to Taurus, but then you've got the moon all on its own up there in Leo, which is kind of saying that you know, it's the handle. So you've got the handle, the moon is the handle, and the rest of it is kind of this bucket shape. So all the rest of it's kind of filled up with all this energy, so to speak, and it's all being channeled kind of via the full moon. So the moon is represented, as I said, it represents our emotions. And because this moon is out there all on its own, it's kind of standing on its own. It's kind of, it's a bit like standing on a stage, because the moon, well, not the moon so much, but Leo is very much about kind of being in the limelight. Leos love to have the limelight. They love to be in that spotlight. And somehow it's kind of like the sun is acting as a spotlight because it's opposite the moon. So there's this kind of spotlight being shone right on the moon at this moment in time in Leo, and it's revealing how we truly feel, and it's helping us to find our courage in situations and to stand up for the courage of our convictions as well. And our heart's true needs, desires and wants are kind of probably all going to come out into the forefront of this situation at the moment. Leo is a fire sign, and it's all about our inner creative passion. It's what our drive is. It's what drives us, our creativity. And at this full moon, it's also going to be trining Mars, which is very much the dynamic, active energy. And it's trining Mars, which is in Sagittarius, around about 25 degrees. So it is a kind of wide trine, but it is still a trine that's kind of supporting that Leo moon energy, and it's telling us to kind of get ready for whatever it is that we're ready to do. It's kind of saying, like, you know, I will support you, whatever it is that you're ready to do now. You have the support from Mars in order to do it, that driving, dynamic, like I said, kind of kind of forceful energy in a way. So the sun being opposite in Aquarius is all about the new path that we're taking, and it's starting something new. Kind of, there's new ideas coming in, there's innovative ways of looking at things, there's sudden breakthroughs, visions. We may be getting kind of these flashes of kind of new things that we haven't thought of in the past, new ways of doing things, a new understanding of things. And it's very much because it's ruled by Uranus, it's to do with a higher mind as well. So these ideas may be coming quite quickly, quite kind of suddenly, unexpected from beyond. It's kind of a bit, it reminds me a bit of those kind of eureka moments, those kind of light bulbs suddenly being switched on in our heads, because it is very much about the mind. Being an air sign, Aquarius being an air sign, is kind of very logical thinking as well. So Mars in Sagittarius at 25 degrees, as I said, is also sextiling this sun in Aquarius. And Mars itself is approaching the galactic centre. The galactic centre being at 26 degrees, it's already conjunct it, but it hasn't exactly got to that point of exact conjunction just yet. So it's kind of moving forward to that point. And so Mars is about to become upgraded, shall we say. It's almost like the cosmic energy that comes through the galactic centre. When a planet passes over that point, it's almost like it starts afresh. It kind of starts something from a higher perspective. It's almost like it upgrades, it goes up another level, a bit like a spiral. If you think of a spiral energy, it's kind of, it's going round, but it's spiraling rather than just being flat. So it's reaching another kind of level, another dimension, because the galactic center energy, which is connected to everything, all the bigger universes out there that we are yet to kind of discover or realize or whatever, that kind of energy is connected to our little solar system, our little galaxy that we're in, is connected at that galactic center point. So Mars is just about to go over that as well. And of course, back in November, we had both Jupiter and Venus go over the galactic center. Jupiter was first, followed by Venus, I believe. And then, so basically what it's saying is that whatever was happening at that point in time, whatever was kind of on the back boiler, whatever we had kind of simmering away there, is now kind of going to be activated by this Mars energy. It's almost like this Mars energy is going to come in and activate it on a higher conscious kind of level. And it's going to trigger something within us. And it's going to say it's time to move ahead with whatever that energy was for you. It's time to bring that into kind of fruition. Venus has now moved into Aries. She's been in Pisces, but she's now come out of Pisces and moved into Aries, and is actually conjunct with Chiron. So Venus is at 0-1 degrees 44 minutes, and Chiron is at 0-2 degrees 53 minutes, almost 3 degrees. And over the last year, we've had Chiron going backwards and forwards over this point. We've had it go forward, backwards and forward again as it's retrograded and come back again to the same, to where it is now. And Venus is now going across that same point, that same energy where Chiron has been doing its retrograde over the last year. So that is bringing in a kind of deeper sense of healing and love. It's almost like whatever the wounds are that are in Chiron, and Chiron being in Aries, it's all about the kind of masculine Aries Mars, wounded masculine energy within us, and not just men, but within the collective, within all of us, the wounded masculine patriarchal energy, the energy that's kind of kept us in this kind of generational and collective kind of way of being and acting, and kind of the wounds that has created from generations that have been passed on, as well as the kind of the wounds that we ourselves have accumulated in our own lifetimes as well. So it's a chance kind of to really look at those wounds. It's all kind of being brought up for us to have a look at, and this has been an ongoing process as well. I've talked about this previously in my other videos when I've mentioned Chiron in particular, about the wounded healer, that he's kind of bringing all this stuff up for us to look at and kind of allow us to release it. But it's especially strong at this moment in time as well, so there could be a lot of emotional kind of upset, a lot of kind of feeling things that on a much deeper level that you didn't necessarily want to acknowledge, or kind of even on some level realized was there, or you know, it's been so far pushed down and buried and kept kind of suppressed for so long that it's kind of now bubbling up to the surface, especially with Venus kind of saying, come on, it's time to heal this, it's time to really kind of look at this, and I can help you with that. You know, I can show you how to love yourself. I can show you how to love those parts of yourself that you don't want to acknowledge, you know, the unloved parts of ourselves that have been hurt and abused and kind of ignored, and just generally put into the kind of back of our memories, and just kind of left there as if to say, like, you know, that it's back there and it's just, that's where it's staying. So because it's in Aries and Mars, and because it's about the kind of masculine energy, the driving Mars energy as well, it can be to do with kind of the impulsive side of things as well, the way that we kind of impulsively react to something. So we get angry very quickly because of it triggers something within us from a past experience. We haven't let that go, so it kind of brings that up suddenly, this sudden impulsive anger and like quick action and selfish desires, needs that are not being met. It's kind of, it's all triggering points of things that have happened previously to us. So this is really what the Venus Chiron energy is about. So Jupiter is also now on the 15 degrees of Capricorn, and it's sextiling Neptune, over to Neptune in Pisces at 17 degrees 21 minutes. And this is going to be an ongoing kind of sextile between Jupiter and Neptune 3 times over this year. I think I've talked about that as well in my kind of 2020 reading. I think I brought that in at that point. So anybody who wants to go and check out my other readings, there is other information within those videos as well. So the Jupiter Capricorn sextile is like a part 2 of the square that we were having, or the squares that we had while Jupiter was in Sagittarius and was squaring over to Neptune. And that square energy was basically stopping us from actually achieving or bringing into the reality the energy of whatever it was at that time that we were really wanting to achieve or create or bring into the physical realm. So the square energy basically was saying, it's not happening yet, it's just not happening, don't try it, don't force it, don't make it, because it's not going to work. But now this energy has changed because it's sextiling. So while that energy was happening with the square, Jupiter was kind of giving us the support somehow. The kind of, Jupiter was kind of saying to us in a way, like, hold on to that dream, hold on to that vision, believe in your dream, believe in the magic of yourself in many ways. Hold on to that, because although it's not ready right now, that doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. And so this now is the time for that belief and that vision and that dream to actually come into fruition. This sextile is now saying it's time. The time is now to bring that dream to life. So it's time for us to really kind of take action. And that's also what the Mars Leo full moon energy is saying as well, that there is this kind of connection with the full moon and the emotions that are coming up for us, to use them in many ways to kind of drive that dream forward with the Mars fire. They're both fire energies. Mercury is at 8 degrees and 6 minutes in Pisces, and Mercury has just gone into shadow, which means that it's getting ready to go retrograde on the 17th of February. So Mercury is already beginning to slow down, and it's going to take its time in Pisces over the next 3 weeks. It retrograded last year in 2019 in Pisces, but last time it was for about, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks. It was phenomenally long, and it seemed like everybody was kind of losing the plot in many ways. It seemed to go on forever, and because Mercury is such a quick thinking, fast moving planet, it is known as the messenger of the gods for a reason. It zips around the zodiac, passing all these planets and giving it all these messages and things. But when it goes retrograde in Pisces, or the water signs in general, but particularly in Pisces, it kind of loses itself completely. Mercury just kind of becomes this kind of, how can I put it, this kind of confused, really kind of foggy minded, like unprecise, no perception, or if it does have perception, it's very foggy again, it's very cloudy, it's very kind of, it doesn't necessarily trust its judgments. So Mercury has to, in yourself, in your own mind, it's almost like you have to slow all your thinking processes right down. Everything, almost like you have to go over things more than once just to make sure that you've got it right. So be warned, although it's not going to be as bad as it was in 2019, because this time it's only going to be for 3 weeks. So Pluto is 23 degrees and 40 minutes, and it's conjunct Saturn still at 25 degrees 59, basically 26 degrees, and Saturn is beginning to pull away further and further from Pluto, but as of yet they are still conjunct, and they've been conjunct before January. I mean, they became the exact conjunction was on the 12th of January, but they were already kind of meeting up back in December. And so it has been this long, slow process, which is still ongoing. And so that particular process is all about the bigger scheme of things, establishment, government. Let me just find the last of my structures, all kind of collapsing. You can see it around you if you look in the world, if you look at the news. You can see things that are happening in France and places like Venezuela, and even down to the kind of the climate things that are happening as well, and the kind of everything that's happening in the US at the moment, with the kind of split between the real kind of split that's happening, like, you know, the separation between the parties. And again, you know, in the UK we have just had on the 31st of January, we've broken away from the EU, so we've had Brexit. So that again is like kind of a death of the old, and the old structures are all beginning to fall. It's going to continue happening. This isn't something that's just going to stop. This is going to be an ongoing process, because this is a major thing that only happens every so many hundreds of years, that these two meet up together in the sign of Capricorn. Again, I have done a video for anybody who might be interested in just finding out a little bit more about that. There is a video that I did about the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So ultimately, the Aquarius sun is now showing us the rebirth of the new path. And Aquarius is all about the individual within the collective. So it's telling us that we all count. Everybody counts. We are all important. We are all, as individuals, we are all making up the whole. But also it's bringing in major paradigm shifts, which are occurring in a kind of an awakening way. Is kind of an awakening that's happening across the world, and it's an awakening to our deeper personal purpose. And almost you could call it like our own personal hero's journey. Like we have to get on that kind of hero's journey and actually start kind of taking responsibility for our own actions, our own lifestyle, how we live our lives, why we do the things we do, taking care of our planet, and really kind of opening up with courage and fortitude to our collective story as well. So that is where I'm going to leave this astrology side of things, and I'm going to move as swiftly as I can into the reading of the tarot cards. And we have here the first card at the very heart of this reading, and I'm doing a Celtic cross today, the full Celtic cross. The Knight of Pentacles, the first card that's to come out here. And as I saw this card earlier today, as I was looking at it, I was getting from this that this is very much a trusting energy. This is somebody who can be trusted. This is somebody who knows their worth. They've worked hard. They've got where they are because they take their time. They're not as kind of, how can you put it, charismatic, I suppose, in a way, as the signs of the fire signs, or even the water signs that kind of have a charm about them. The fire signs very fast moving, the air signs very quick moving as well, but the earth sign is all about the kind of slow processes, taking time to allow things to kind of come to fruition, to make something solid, practical, worthwhile, satisfying. And that's what this Knight of Pentacles is all about. He's very much about the kind of energy of slow, almost a bit like the tortoise and the hare. The race of the tortoise and the hare is what's coming through to me at the moment. That the tortoise eventually wins, although you would never think that the tortoise would win, because obviously the hare is so much quicker. But the tortoise, the energy of the tortoise is kind of slow and it's dependable. It's somebody you can really rely on, you can really trust on in this energy. It's a very kind of solid base, foundation. And that's at the heart of our reading. And it's come out in the collective reading here with the Queen of Cups over the top, which I think are a great pairing. And funnily enough, there was a similar energy yesterday when I did a Gemini reading. She came out in the same place. And believe you me, I shuffle these cards really well. In fact, I do the kind of whoosh thing across the table. I like to kind of really mix them all up, because I don't flick my cards, but I kind of mash them all together as if you were playing pairs when you were little. But so they've been really well shuffled, but there has been a few cards that have come out today that are exactly the same as the Gemini reading. So if anybody wants to check out the Gemini reading, that I put up earlier, then you will see that this card is in exact same place. And yesterday it was very much about kind of tuning into the emotions, because this is a challenge, if you like, at this moment in time. And I said the same thing yesterday as I'm going to say today, that the energy of the water here kind of, for me, is very kind of, it's compatible in the sense that the earth kind of soaks it all up. It kind of, it's almost like it's fed, well, it is fed by it. The earth is fed by this water energy. And it's kind of saying the same thing to me here. It's like saying that we need to somehow feed we need to allow our emotions to feed our, how can I put it, to feed our, it's what I'm seeing, it's, I need to kind of express it in a way that it's going to be understood. It's kind of feeding our, you know, instead of kind of, you know, if it was concrete, it would just kind of run off of it. It doesn't soak in the same way. So there is a kind of feeling here that we need to maybe become more receptive. I think that's what this card is saying today, receptive. We need to be more receptive. This is our challenge, to be more receptive, because this also has a kind of higher priestess energy about it as well, which is also about kind of a receptiveness. But it's very much about our intuition, trusting our feelings. The Queen of Cups is all about love. She's all about coming from the heart. She's sitting in this beautiful green dress here, which for me is all about the heart chakra. And the green of both these cards talks very strongly to me about the heart chakra energy, and that we need to kind of get back. This is where we're kind of trying to get back to. The heart, getting back to the heart. And this is the challenge at the moment for us. And it's been a long journey. I feel that's what this is saying here, that we're kind of building on this, but it's a long journey. It's a long, slow process of us getting back to the heart and the home, and really understanding the value as well of our emotions, because our emotions have been kind of sidelined by our intellect, our thinking mind, our logical process, our academia. Particularly in the patriarchal world, it's very much become the thing, has been very much about the mind, and how we kind of, everything's about, the whole idea of education is all about kind of the achievement at the end of it. It's almost, it's kind of, how can I put it? Yeah, it's all about the intellect. It's all about the intelligence. It's all about the certificate that you get at the end, or and that has been for a long, long time much more valued than our emotions. Whereas our emotions are what really drive us. It's our emotions. It's how we feel about something that will make a difference as to how we respond or how we react. It is all about our feeling, the feelings that we get. So that's the challenge at the moment, and it is also come out with the 7 of Fire, a card which also came out yesterday for the Gemini reading, I do believe. So for me, this is saying that at this moment in time, we're not feeling like taking a stand on this. We're not ready, if you like. We're not ready to kind of stand up for ourselves and stand up for our beliefs and stand up, because maybe we're not even aware or sure yet what we are actually believing in a way as well. And I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that our emotions have been suppressed, have been pushed out. We have kind of stopped ourselves from allowing our true feelings to be the kind of driver, if you like. But it is our subconscious. It is our subconscious that drives everything. Even, I believe, down to the point of our illnesses and our sickness and our the state of our physical being. But the Seven of Fire to me is kind of saying that at this point in time, we are kind of in this energy of resistance to kind of really standing up. It's almost like we've been kind of I hesitate to use the word brutalized, but there's a kind of feeling that we've almost been made to believe things in a certain way, and now as we're kind of starting to see things differently, because this is a unicorn as well here, so this is about something that's different. It's about kind of seeing beyond the normal. That's how I see this card. It's about kind of seeing things that, you know, it's saying, if it was up this way, I would be saying that this is very much about you taking a stance as to who you are, your individuality, and you're kind of really saying, you know, that I can stand up for myself, I can have enough belief in what I want to stand up for. But in reverse, it's the total opposite of that energy. It's kind of saying that at this moment in time, we're not in that place. We don't feel strong enough in a way. But what we are beginning to realise, because what's in our head and what we need to be aware of, is this energy here, which for me kind of represents the Venus-Chiron energy that I was talking about earlier. This Chiron-Venus conjunction that's happening, this healing. Because this is about self-love. This is really about nurturing. It's a page, so it's a young energy. And it's about nurturing our inner child. It's about allowing our inner child to be healed, to kind of up this way, it's kind of reflective in this cup here. And the trees kind of represent protection as well in a way. But because it's in reverse again, it's almost like, are we ready? Can we do that? Are we even acknowledging that we need to do that? Are we even aware collectively of our wounds and our pain generationally as well? Have we got to that point where we can even kind of acknowledge that yet? I don't quite think we have, personally. And it's come out with the 8 of Earth, or the 8 of Pentacles. Again, reversed. And reverse energies for me often mean situations that have been around for a long time, that have yet to be kind of worked through. And the 8 of Pentacles, in this particular deck, I see this as something that is kind of in the process of being created out of something very kind of mundane, like just a piece of wood. You know, it's like it has been a tree, but now it's a lump of wood. But this lump of wood could then be taken and worked on and made into something absolutely beautiful and very, very productive in itself as well. So I see this symbolically as being us working on ourselves. But again, because it's in reverse, it's kind of this, I would say, kind of an unawareness of what's going on, an unawareness that we're still not quite kind of like each of these like coins down here for me are kind of a situation that we all need to kind of collectively look at our patterns. Our patterns, that's what I'm getting from this today, is this kind of our patterns that we kind of keep going over the same old thing. It's almost like, you know, that saying, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So that is what this card is saying to me here, that if we keep doing that, we're just going to keep ending up in the same place time and time again. And always again the kind of feeling of this out of tune like resonance, like a violin that hasn't been kind of tuned or played for a long time, like, and it's kind of jarring. There's something really not quite right about it. It's like rather than it sounding like a beautiful instrument, like it could if it was like played by somebody who really knew what they were doing. But there's this sense of us being kind of, I mean, this could have also has something to do with this Mercury retrograde that's coming up as well, and this sense of us kind of not really being able to focus. But this is about ourselves. This is about individuals, each one of us working on ourselves, and as we work on ourselves, we're also working on that collective energy. And we also have the other side of it, another new energy, or kind of young energy, I should say, really. Another page, and this one is the Page of Pentacles, again in reverse, and again this card came out yesterday. So this energy is definitely quite strong at this moment in time. And this to me is saying that we're not valuing ourselves enough. We are not putting ourselves first, or we are not valuing ourselves enough to actually want to go through this process. It's almost like we need to kind of recognize this energy of this energy of not being in tune. That's the message that I'm getting here. Not being in tune, being out of tune with everything, not resonating in the right way. Because this is about creating a future. All these little seedlings here that have been planted are all about the future. Again, it's very green. So I do get in that, again, a strong feeling of the kind of heart chakra, and both of these energies as well here are very similar to these energies here. Kind of the earth and the emotions. The physical realm is all about the emotions, if you like. Bringing the emotions out into the physical realm. Because you've got the water and the earth in both of these. So, underneath these energies, and what we're not aware of at the moment, in the subconscious realm, we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is basically saying that things are changing, things are moving. We may not be able to be aware of it at this moment in time, and I think that's possibly because it is all happening very kind of slowly. It's a very slow process that we're going through here. But that doesn't mean that things aren't changing. Because they are. And we are on this wheel, if you like, going round and round and round. And somehow we have to kind of recognise that we are each at the centre of our own universe, creating our own reality. And for me, that's what these rays, or these kind of spokes here, for me they always look like rays of energy that are coming in and going out. It's like what we put out, we get back. So our thought processes, and also our emotions are creating our inner world, which is creating our outer world. And it's come out with a 3 of fire. And for me today, this was kind of saying that it's not too late to change direction. It's got a compass in the background here, and it's pointing, don't know which way it's pointing, but it's kind of it looks to me almost, I get a sense of Aquarius sun with this card. Like it's, I don't know why, the shell kind of reminds me somehow of the kind of water bearer as well, but also the fact that it's in the air. I get the sense that it's air, it's kind of buoyant, it's kind of going through the air, almost like a zeppelin or something, but it's kind of being pushed along by this almost like, you know, like a windmill or something. Like this is acting like a windmill, and it's kind of changing direction. So it's kind of saying to me that it's time to change path. It's time to kind of shift things and move up a level. We can change direction, but just because we've been on one path or one timeline, it doesn't mean that that's the one that we have to stay on. Collectively, we have the power to make a difference. That's what this card is saying to me today. That we can change our future by choosing a different direction. But then we have moving away, this 7 of Swords. And the 7 of Swords to me is saying, particularly today, that there has been lies, a deceit, and a sense of being kept in the dark and things not being revealed. And there's just this sense of like a lot of junk and a lot of kind of, and I've not usually take much notice of this, but today it's kind of sticking out as this kind of, almost like this is our past. And it's full of our history is full of a lot of kind of a lot of darkness, a lot of situations that have not been very what's the word I'm looking for, situations that have not been very nurturing. A lot of pollution, a lot of pain, a lot of destruction, a lot of just a kind of sense of yuckiness, of things kind of, yeah, a lot of things being discarded somehow. And in this card as well, we see this shadow. It's kind of saying to me that this is what we need in a way to work through and work with, is this shadow energy of kind of our own past, but also the collective past as well, that this is the collective past, and it is full of a lot of lies, it's full of a lot of deceit, it's full of a lot of people backstabbing each other to try and get into positions of superiority or power, or being made to do things they don't want to do, which is what this particular character here is having to do. He doesn't want to do what he's got to do, but he's having to do it because other powers that be have told him that he has to do it. And I think there's been a lot of that in our past and in our history. So this energy is kind of moving away at the moment, but it is covered by the Three of Air. And the Three of Air is in reverse. So again, it's saying to me this is a long kind of lasting energy. It's what's been around, and collectively we haven't dealt with it. And for me, the Three of Air is all about pain. It's all about heartbreak. It's all about I kind of get the feeling of our light being dimmed. There's a sense of kind of a ghost-like figure here as well, although she kind of has these angel wings, and it's almost like it represents our past somehow for me today. This kind of ghost of the past that needs to be kind of recognized before it can be healed. But again, it's in reverse, so there's a reluctance, there's a resistance, there's a kind of non-acknowledgement of this energy. And it has also the Three of Wands, again, Three of Fire, which came out in the subconscious. But this is a different energy for me as well in this particular card. This is talking more about risk-taking. And maybe we feel as though we've taken too many risks. We don't want to take any more. Maybe we're fed up or tired or exhausted from taking all these risks because it's in reverse. Maybe we also don't particularly want to look at our past as well. The risks that we have taken are kind of leading us back into this past energy. But this has also come out with the King of Cups, which of course we have the Queen of Cups here as well. So again, it is very much about the emotions, and the King of Cups is up in the right way. And the King of Cups is all to do with again, the heart. It's the card of Cancer, but it's also the water signs as well. But in general, this is Cancer energy. And I kind of see this Queen of Cups as being more kind of Scorpio energy. And the Page of Cups I would probably relate to more kind of Piscean energy. But the King of Cups here, for me, it is about... It's about our love and our wounds. This is kind of the wounded healer as well. He's somebody who's very caring, very considerate, very thoughtful, very almost to the point where he kind of ignores his own needs, or his own needs are not valued. His own needs are kind of not seen as being relevant or important, which is what I get from this card here. But it's not in reverse, so that's a good sign because it's up the right way. It's kind of, for me, this is again the Venus Chiron, particularly Chiron energy of having to kind of face that masculine wound and heal it with the love for ourselves, which again is this card here. I believe it was in reverse. So so all these energies are kind of moving away. But this is the risk that we have to take, if you like. It's like we have to take this risk. We can't ignore it any longer. We can't kind of keep hiding our wounds. We can't keep denying our true emotions to ourselves, which is what this is kind of saying to me here as well. This 3 of air upside down, it's kind of saying I don't want to kind of look at that. I don't want to recognize the pain, the hurt on a collective level. But it is something that we're going to have to do. We need to do this. We need to heal. If we don't heal, then we're not going to change our story. We'll just keep going round and round on this wheel in the same energy. Something needs to shift. Something needs to be healed within our own psyches. And that's what the cards are saying to me there. And we move into the energy for the future, and we have the 3 of Pentacles, which is about us kind of starting or learning to work together as a team. And I get a sense of community with this card, which the Sun in Aquarius is also about, because Aquarius energy is about community. It's about the individual within the collective. And it's about community energy, working together, understanding the value of each individual person, and realizing that, you know, if you have something that you can help somebody else with, then why not just do it? Why not just help that person out? Because then that person will be able to pass it forward. And it doesn't necessarily have to come back to the same people who originally handed out the help or the finances, or however it comes across. However, it's not about kind of paying it back in a kind of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth kind of belief system, which is something else that we've been kind of brought up to believe, that somebody does something for you, you have to do them a favour back. It's very much the way that the world has been kind of controlled as well. And this is a different energy here. This is about kind of saying kind of acts of random kindness in a way, kind of acts of kind of passing things on. And this king is very much acts of random kindness as well, because he's always there to listen to people. He's always there to help people out. He's always there on an emotional level to really kind of connect emotionally. He really does kind of, he's the counsellor. He's the kind of, yeah, the counsellors, the social workers, the, you know, the people who are kind of drawn to those kind of professions because they want to help people on a deeper level. I'm not saying that everybody who is a counsellor or a social worker is coming from that place, but those people who are drawn to do that for the right reasons will have this energy, which is an energy of compassion for their fellow human being, fellow humankind. And so this for me is what this energy is saying here, that there's a need for us in a way to start realizing that what we pass forward to people doesn't have to come back. It can then be passed on to somebody else who can pass it on to somebody else. It can be a bit like passing on knowledge and wisdom as well. And if everybody was to work like that, in this kind of teamwork, then there would be a lot more production. There would be a lot more, things would flow better. There would be a lot more flow of energy, of money, because money literally is an energy, but it's an energy that kind of has become so overprotected and over kind of emphasized and used as a form of control for so long that people want to hoard it, hold on to it, and they feel that they have to have it and lots of it, rather than kind of sharing it around and making sure that everybody has enough. And that's kind of what this energy is saying for me. But it has come out with the Two of Cups in reverse, Two of Pentacles in reverse. I don't want to say cups at all, which is about balance. It's in reverse again, so it's kind of saying to me that there's going to be a period of time here where we are going to have to kind of work through whatever the new is that's coming in, because at the moment all the pentacle stuff, all the kind of physical, financial things being in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, is all going to change. So very shortly there will be a time, I feel, when we are all going to have to start kind of balancing things up better than we do now. So there's going to be a lot more trying to work out, should I do this? Should I do it like that? Money is going to go through a massive transformation. And it may not be the same as it is now at all. And that's kind of energy that I'm getting from this Two of Pentacles here. That we are going to be really, because Uranus is such a fast moving kind of changing planet, and it's in Taurus, which is all this kind of stable, very kind of down to earth, practical, solid. Taurus is the ruler of the financial world, really. That's its energy. It loves things, possessions, the physical. But when Uranus is there, nothing is ever balanced. There is no balance. There is no kind of normality. Nothing is no longer I won't say stable as such, but that's the kind of energy, really, is that there is no kind of guarantees in a way. And that's kind of the energy that I'm picking up with this card today. There's going to be a lot of juggling. There's going to have to be a lot of juggling, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to, because we are so used to having things, the status quo being upset, I feel, with this card. The status quo being, thrown up in the air and kind of saying, like, where's it going to land? And it's come out with the Nine of Pentacles, which is very much about our self-worth and our self-esteem. And I feel very much that we kind of do rely on our self-esteem and our self-worth for our kind of possessions, and how we accumulate things and why we accumulate things, and the value of the things that we accumulate. But again, I get the sense with this that something to do with patterns again, like with the 8 here. All these kind of, these patterns. And this again is just kind of our patterns from our past. The things that we keep in the status quo. But it is, if you see here, she's kind of focusing on this flower in her hand, which kind of for me is saying that as long as we've got our self-esteem, as long as we've got our self-worth, that's really so much more important than all this kind of repetitive lifestyle, in a way, of being told that this is how it is, this is what you should do, just go out there and just keep going round and round on this wheel, which again is this here. Because the Chariot card has come out next, and the Chariot card is saying to me that there's this kind of push forward, because it is in the right position, it is upright. So it's about kind of the balance of our heart and our head being brought together to be able to move forward and to be able to kind of, again, I get the feeling with this card here, this kind of balancing act, if you like. And once we kind of have learned how to balance the energies that are coming in and kind of get into grips with them again, which could also be this card here as well, this kind of need for us to kind of get to grips with things that are going to be very different, like changing of patterns. Then the Chariot will push us forward. The Chariot will move us in the direction that we want to go here. The direction that we choose for the benefit of all of us, rather than just the benefit of the few. But this is about kind of, again, because this is a major arcana card, it's going to be something that's kind of longer term. And it's come out with this Two of Fire. And today for me, the Two of Fire, because this is kind of pushing, again, it's the two. There's a two. There's a thing about the twos going on here. We've got the Two of Earth, and then the Chariot has two horses here. And then we've got the Two of Fire here as well. And so it is, again, the balance, the balance, the need to kind of bring everything together. The one kind of balancing the other. The same with the horses here, because the horses need to be brought together, because if they go off in separate directions, the head and the heart, if the head and the heart aren't balanced, then there's a lot of trauma involved. There can be a lot of upset, there can be a lot of disruption in your life, there can be a lot of things that don't move forward because like both of these horses going off in different directions. You're just going to end up stranded somewhere with no idea what's going on. But I don't get the feeling with this card so much as like about this being us bringing things together. And there could also be some reason that's coming through as a possible link to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction as well here. But the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is basically what has upset everything here. It's upset, as well as having Uranus in Taurus, but the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is kind of the breakdown of things as we know it. And this could also be Saturn and Pluto here as well, in the sense that they are beginning to separate, but the ongoing kind of forward path, if you like, has already been decided by that, in that sense, which also the Wheel of Fortune could also be saying as well, that our destiny forward has kind of moved into a new energy since that Saturn-Pluto conjunction on January the 12th. But this card here, I kind of get the feeling of kind of walking off the cliff, almost like the Fool card, which actually does come out. But there's a real despondency here, a real kind of like somebody who doesn't really want to take doesn't want to take responsibility for their actions, doesn't want to kind of, is just kind of being led, just allowing themselves to be led. And that could also have a lot to do with the collective energies as well, that we kind of feel in some way that we're just kind of being led over a cliff. And when we do kind of go off the cliff, this is what happens. We have this tower moment. And for me, this is Uranus in Taurus. This is the big change. This is the breakdown of the establishment, which is also to do with the Saturn-Pluto energy here as well. This kind of coming together and then kind of separation, which upsets everything. So the tower represents our kind of structures that we put up for ourselves, the kind of on a collective level as well. It would kind of represent all our history, the stories that we've kind of brick by brick built up around ourselves to say, like, you know, this is who we are, this is how we what we believe, this is what we do, this is, we are human because of this and this. This is how the world is, this is how the universe is, this is how blah, 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 education, the sun, you know, all of it, all the stories that have been repeated to us over and over and over again throughout our history, particularly from kind of the Middle Ages onwards, I feel. And this here, Poseidon, this energy here, is kind of saying, and also because you've got these lightning bolts happening in the background as well, it's been hit by lightning and the tower is just crumbling. So there is an emotional element to this as well because of the Poseidon, because of all the water. There is a kind of, and it is our emotions again. I feel very strongly that, you know, the emotions are going to become a lot more relevant and a lot more kind of given their place, because it's our emotions where we kind of suddenly go, that's enough, I can't take this anymore, I've had enough of this, I need to break free from this, I need to break through, I need to break out, I need to just release myself from this. And this is what is happening on a collective level at this moment in time. This is the breakdown. This is where we are at, literally, in the tarot reading itself as well, is that card of where it's at. And it's come out with the Fool, but the Fool is in reverse. So it's kind of saying that as at the moment we know that there's a new path, we can kind of hear a new resonance, a new, it's almost like, you know, that untuned violin is kind of changing resonance. It's like the resonance is changing and we're kind of shifting with it, and we know that there's something happening, but as of yet that path is yet to be revealed to us. Things are still coming kind of into the light. And again, the kind of this energy here with the Two of Fire and the giraffe kind of walking off the edge of the cliff, which is very much the kind of Fool card of trusting, the kind of the Fool trusts that its journey is kind of being not created so much, but by kind of being guided by a higher energy. And this, I feel, is what we are kind of having to awaken to. We are having to awaken to the fact that there is so much more than what we have been led to believe, brought up to believe, educated to believe, and that we have been let down by all these structures and these systems that have not told us the truth of our past and our history and our stories, and that we've kind of created these mythologies in a way, which kind of relates to this card for me as well, because the unicorn is like a myth, a mythological beast. It's a fairy story, it's an illusion. And so that's the energy that is coming in, this awakening, but our resonance is still yet to kind of shift. The paradigm is still yet to shift. So it's almost like we're collectively kind of waiting for the call. Almost like we know it's coming. We know something is coming. We know there's shifts are happening. But collectively, we're not quite ready to take that new path yet. Although the sun in Aquarius very much has that energy about it. And this is how normally I would say that in the tarot reading itself, this energy, where it's at, the placement, is how other people view us. So I'm going to say this is collectively how we are kind of all viewing each other. And there's a sense of betrayal here. There's a sense of something that's not kind of revealing itself. Something that's being kept, not so much kept in the dark, but kind of in this, although to say that, we do have the moon card come out as well, which is literally about things being kind of newly revealed because they've been kept in the dark from us. And I feel that in some way that we all kind of have this side of us. This is, I think, what it's saying is that we all kind of keep things under wraps. We all kind of emotionally don't necessarily reveal who we really are. And that could also be because on some level we ourselves are still trying to work that out because of the fact that our emotions have been kind of ignored for so long as being undervalued and not relevant. Are just kind of things that are stupid. Emotions are stupid. Emotions are kind of, you know, things to be ignored, and they just happen. You can't control them. You can't, you know, so therefore they're kind of worthless. And in fact, the total opposite is the truth. Our emotions are what drive us. Our emotions are probably the most important part of our story. And here the moon is kind of saying, you know, that there are still things to be revealed. But this card here is kind of saying that we don't want to completely express who we are yet. Again, there's this feeling of kind of we don't even know yet who we truly are on an emotional level or on any other level. But there's a feeling of that betrayal, that sense of kind of, again, of not being given all the information that we need, of things being kept from us. Because in this card, Psyche is kind of losing her lover. Eros here is running out on her. She's being run out on purely because she tried to see who he really was. She wanted to know who she was with, because up to this point he'd only ever visited her in the dark at night, because he's immortal and she's a mortal, and they kind of had this pact where she wasn't allowed to see him in daylight, but she wanted to know who he was, and kind of held this candle, this light up to his face, and unfortunately a drip of wax fell on it and he woke up. And she saw who he was physically. She saw that he was an absolutely beautiful individual, but at the same time that isn't enough. She wants more. She wants more. She wants more. She wants it all. She wants to be able to live properly with this person. And I feel that on some level this is kind of symbolic of us kind of running out on ourselves. And this could have something, again, to do with the Venus Chiron energy as well. Us running out on ourselves. Us not kind of wanting to acknowledge those sides of ourselves that are yet to be healed, yet to be looked at, yet to be revealed. And this is what the full moon in Leo is bringing out into the limelight as well. Being on that stage, our emotions in the spotlight, And we may not like it. We may not like it at all. There may be this real strong urge to kind of run and hide, which again is what the moon is about. I kind of just want to I don't want everybody to see who I am. I don't want to be on that stage. I don't want to reveal those sides of myself. I want to keep things under wraps. And we have in our hopes and our fears the Eight of Pentacles again. Same energy here, same card, working on something, working on our futures, working on our, in many ways, working on ourselves as well, because when we work on something, we are working indirectly on ourselves. Which is what this card is about here, but this time it's up the right way, but it is in our hopes and our fears, so it's not an actuality. It's just saying that we hope that when we do kind of, you know, we hope that we can work through this. We hope that we can master, because this is what it says to me, that all these are kind of events or situations or things that we've tried in the past, and this one is the one that we're mastering. It's like out of everything we've learnt to master. This is all our trials and our errors and our kind of past experiences, but now we've come to kind of master, which is very Capricorn energy as well, Saturn and Pluto. There's a kind of need for mastery, to master ourselves. To work on ourselves, to work on our future, to work on our need for, I suppose, security and stability and our resources as well. But again, this could also be to do with change, because it's a hope and a fear. There is a part of us that is kind of worried about this, worried that we might not make it, worried of our kind of, you know, the push to mastery, the push to kind of, am I ready for that? And that's for me what this Strength card is saying, this Leo moon energy at the moment, because this is the kind of Leo energy and it's come out in reverse. And so for me, like I was saying, that there is this reluctance to kind of stand on this stage at the moment and to kind of find our courage and find our fortitude and come from our hearts and really kind of show who we are, this inner strength, because this card for me is always about inner strength, the Strength card. It's not so much about our physical, it's about our inner strength, and this kind of mastery of our inner strength is what we're kind of fearing we're not going to accomplish. In many ways, I think we do fear our emotions as well, and I think that that is kind of something that we've been brought up to do, is to fear our feelings, kind of hide our feelings, to not necessarily really tell somebody how we feel, because there's a vulnerability, there's a very strong vulnerability in this card. A vulnerableness of showing our true nature to somebody, which is what this is saying to me here. This lion here is all about our kind of true nature, kind of beast within us all that needs again to be tempered and kind of brought under control. Again, Chiron Venus energy, which is very strong at this moment in time. Venus in Aries, Chiron in Aries, very kind of impulsive energy. Working with the masculine, mastering ourselves, working with that kind of patriarchal past. That's what this is saying to me here in our hopes and our fears. And then we have the Hermit as a kind of outcome, a collective kind of hiding away from things. But this is more to do with looking within to find our inner answers. I feel, you know, before we kind of take action, the Hermit is kind of giving us the ability to cut things away that we no longer need, the old, the dead, the extraneous, the things that don't work for us anymore. And this also, for me, this Hermit, I always think of it very much as like the chrysalis, the kind of pupae, the kind of moth, the butterfly that is kind of wrapping itself away from the world, and there's this kind of inner process that takes place, which is kind of all very hidden. Again, this could also have something to do with this moon here as well, and the fact that, you know, the full moon in Leo, that things are being exposed, but at the moment there's a lot of hidden processes, because whatever goes on in that kind of chrysalis and pupae stage is very secretive in that sense. It's like nobody really can put themselves in the place of being that caterpillar that changes into this beautiful moth or changes into the beautiful butterfly. Either way, because I love moths. But you know, we have our inner lights, and that's kind of what it's all about. It's about finding our inner light, finding our own path. And I feel that this could also be the kind of sun in Aquarius energy as well, I was talking about earlier. So there's this magic, in a way, that's taking place deep within us all. There's this kind of new energy, I feel, that's coming in, this new awareness, this new understanding, this new kind of discovery of ourselves that is yet to be revealed. This new, it's like we're all kind of going into this inner process, because this is the place we have to go if we're going to move forward, if we're going to allow ourselves to kind of create something different and something new. We have to go through this process of the Hermit, the inner search, the inner seeker, the seeker. And he's seeking the answers to himself, seeking the answers to the kind of the world, the universe, the bigger questions of life. What's it all about? Why am I here? What's gone down in the past? What's led us to where we are now? All those kind of big questions. I also feel very much that, you know, looking back at the past, we can kind of see why we are where we are now as well. As I've said before, you know, the past leads to the present, which now will lead into the future. And every now moment is a present, is a future moment being created. But they've all come from past moments. And really, they just all join together in one moment. And that's kind of the Hermit energy for me. And it's come out with the Messenger of Fire in reverse. So this is kind of Leo energy again. The Messenger of Fire. The fire energy, the Mars and Leo trining energy as well, could well be. Messenger of Fire is usually very passionate. Is usually somebody who is very creative with his ideas. Very kind of how can I put it? Very very driven by their ideas. Their ideas kind of they're very entrepreneurial, but they don't necessarily carry things through. It's an energy of somebody who will leap from one thing to another. They're a creative idea person. They're the person who will kind of come up with an idea, but then expect somebody else to kind of finish it off as well, or pass it on to somebody to finish it off while they go off and they kind of think up something else or have a new idea for something. Not all of their ideas will materialize, and there's often a lot of things that are left undone as well with this energy. But with this particular card, I also get the feeling of a kind of innocence. An innocence here as well. And I kind of I don't know, like a kind of warmth. I'm trying to think with the Hermit and this card together. This is not one of my favourite cards. Never has been in this deck. I never really connect with this card at all, the Messenger of Fire. Not in this particular deck, I don't. I don't know what it is about it. But there is a kind of mystery about her as well. There is a kind of, like, if you look at her when she's up the right way, if you look, she's kind of looking back into the past, I feel. Looking over her shoulder. Kind of not really, almost like she knows that there's something there. Almost like she's aware of something from the past that is still kind of catching her attention. And she hasn't quite moved into the future yet. So I do find that card a little bit kind of confusing, and I might just put another card over the top of that, because, like I say, that is a card that I kind of don't always, or I don't connect with it very well. And so I'm going to use my other deck and ask for a confirmation card for the Messenger of Fire and the Hermit energy. And why are they there? Another card, please. One more card. I do like to do my shuffling more off of the line than on it. Interesting. Okay, so we get the 10 of Swords coming out here, which could have something to do with a kind of Mercury energy as well, but it's a good card in the sense that this is a final ending. This Hermit and this Messenger of Fire. It's kind of saying, for me, it's saying that it's time to move forward. It's time to move on. It's time to leave the past in the past. And time to kind of let the sun rise on a new day. Because here, this character here, which is this same guy that we saw here in the 7, what he had to do here has driven him absolutely insane by these furies. He's been absolutely driven. These kind of represent madness in the head, that constant kind of not being able to let something go, not being able to put something down, in the sense of the mind just keeps playing over the same track again and again and again, which could also have something to do with this Wheel of Fortune down here. It's just kind of the same, stuck in the same rut somehow, and just the mind just keeps replaying the same scenario until it drives you totally mad. And it's only in that moment of sheer exhaustion and just kind of no longer being able to cope. And in this card, Athene has kind of come to his rescue, and she also turns up as the goddess of justice as well, Athene. And she is very much of the mind and of the logic, and very much to do with kind of strategy. And she's basically saying, that's enough. Like, she's holding her hand up here, and she's got a sword of truth here, and she's saying, like, you know, that is enough. That's enough. No more. No more. No more going down that same path. No more going down that same road. You know, you've done it time and time again. And again, it is that kind of, you know, if you keep doing the same thing, you're not going to get a different result kind of energy. That's what I get from this. And so I think that's why she's kind of looking back in her past. I think that's what that's about. And this is about saying that's enough. 10, it's an end, it's a final, it's finished. Let it go, move on. Allow the new day to dawn, allow the darkness to leave, allow the light to come in. Maybe that's also what this fire is about as well, allowing the light to come in. And the Hermit here. Allow yourself that light. So that is where I'm going to leave this Leo full moon reading. Apart from having these 2 cards at the end here, I will read these before I forget. So this card, interestingly, also came out yesterday for the Gemini reading. So again, the energy is still kind of hanging around and it wants to be known, because it flipped out, even though I did a proper good shuffle and a good whatever you like to call it, and then gave them a good shuffle as well. So I will read this card again, and it's a blessing of acceptance. And it says, every part of you is equally worthy of love. Accept yourself as you are, and this will be a blessing unto yourself and others. If you wish to see the truth of the matter, hold no preference either for or against a particular outcome. Just be the love that you truly are. And I think that's kind of what this is saying here as well. Just be the love. Be that love. You know, we've got the Page of Cups here, as well as the King of Cups somewhere, as well as the King of Cups. So that's a lot of love, kind of a lot of energy of love around in this reading. So that's that card there. I'll show you that I haven't made it up. And the last card is the Abraham Hicks Ask and It Is Given cards. I will put all these cards in the description box down below. So it says, only I know what is appropriate for me. And I get a kind of Aquarian feeling about this card. And it says, when you remember that everyone who asks is given, then how wonderful and appropriate is it for you to make the choices for you? For the universe operates much more efficiently without a middleman interceding on your behalf. You always know in the moment what is best for you. And so that for me is the kind of collective, the individual within the collective, and also the kind of no longer accepting the middleman, kind of doing things more for ourselves because it feels right for us. So those are the messages that I have for you today with my Leo full moon reading. I hope that it's been of some help to you. Please like up my video. Also, could you subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already? And thank you for all of you who have subscribed. Thank you very much for my recent subscribers. Welcome to my channel. And also, could you tap the bell to receive any future videos that I put out there? And like I say, I have put videos out already that you could go and look at as well. We'll be putting out more videos. I do like to put out videos for the full moon and the new moon, and I will also be doing the rest of the actual zodiac signs as well over this coming week or so. So thank you once again for listening, and please take care. Hope to see you again.